Welcome to Rupert Reads The Adventures of Buster Bear by Thornton W. Burgess. Chapter 1 Buster Bear Goes Fishing. Buster Bear yawned as he lay on his comfortable bed of leaves and watched the first early morning sunbeams creeping through the green forest to chase out the black shadows. Once more he yawned and slowly got to his feet and shook himself. Then he walked over to a big pine tree, stood up on his hind legs, reached up on the trunk of the tree as high as he could, and scratched the bark with his great claws. After that he yawned until it seemed as if his jaws would crack, and then sat down to think what he wanted for breakfast. While he sat there, trying to make up his mind what would taste best, he was listening to the sounds that told him of the waking of the little people who lived in the green forest. He heard Sammy Jay, way off in the distance, screaming, "Thief! Thief!" and grinned.
"I wonder,"
thought Buster,
"if someone has stolen Sammy's breakfast, or if he has stolen the breakfast of somebody else. Probably he is the thief himself."
He heard Chatterer, the red squirrel, scolding as fast as he could make his tongue go, and working himself into a terrible rage.
"Must be that Chatterer got out of the bed the wrong way this morning,"
thought he. He heard Blacky the Crow cawing at the top of his lungs, and he knew by the sound that Blacky was getting into mischief of some kind. He heard the sweet voices of happy little singers, and they were good to hear. But most of all, he listened to a merry, low, silvery laugh that never stopped but went on and on until he felt as if he must laugh too. It was the voice of the Laughing Brook, and as Buster listened, it suddenly came to him what he wanted for breakfast.
"I'm going fishing,"
he said in his deep, grumbly, rumbly voice, to no one in particular.
"Yes, sir, I'm going fishing. I want some fat trout for my breakfast."
He shuffled along to the Laughing Brook, and straight to a little pool of which he knew. And as he drew near, he took the greatest care not to make the teeniest, weeniest bit of noise. Now it just happened that early as he was, someone was before Buster Bear. When he came in sight of the little pool, who should he see but another fisherman there, who had already caught a fine fat trout. Who was it? Why, Little Joe Otter, to be sure. He was just climbing up the bank with a fat trout in his mouth. Buster Bear's own mouth watered as he saw it. Little Joe sat down on the bank and prepared to enjoy his breakfast. He hadn't seen Buster Bear, and he didn't know that he, or anyone else, was anywhere near. Buster Bear tiptoed very softly until he was right behind Little Joe Otter.
"Woof, woof,"
he said in his deepest, most grumbly, rumbly voice.
"That's a very fine-looking trout. I wouldn't mind if I had it myself."
Little Joe Otter gave a frightened squeal, and without even turning to see who was speaking, dropped his fish and dived headfirst into the Laughing Brook. Buster Bear sprang forward with one of his big paws, caught the fat trout just as it was slipping back into the water.
"Here's your trout, Mr. Otter,"
he said, as Little Joe put his head out of the water to see who would frighten him.
"Come and get it."
But Little Joe wouldn't. The fact is, he was afraid to. He snarled at Buster Bear and called him a thief and everything bad he could think of. Buster didn't seem to mind. He chuckled as if he thought it was a great joke and repeated his invitation to Little Joe to come and get his fish. Little Joe just turned his back and went off down the Laughing Brook in a great rage.
"It's too bad to waste such a fine fish,"
said Buster thoughtfully.
"I wonder what I'd better do with it."
And while he was wondering, he ate it all up and then started down the Laughing Brook to try and catch some more for himself. Thank you for listening, and if you liked what you heard, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you.